keynote address. So Professor Kasule, you are warmly welcome for the keynote address. But before Professor Njosi is coming, maybe he has something to add. Inshallah, Bismillah. He's going to introduce Professor Kasule. Who is Professor Kasule?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now, in one sentence, Professor Kasule is Professor Kasule. However, for this afternoon, I will just mention a few points so that he may have time to make his address, the keynote address. Professor Omar Hassan Kasule is a Ugandan by nationality. And here I want to modify my statement in the morning about Ugandans who are not very competent in Kiswahili. Professor Kasule is an exception. He's multilingual. He's fluent in English, French, Arabic, Swahili, and of course Luganda. Now, he, by profession, he's in the field of medicine. He did his degree in medicine at university, in Makerere University in Kampala. And he did his master's in public health at University of Harvard. And his doctorate in public health at the University of Harvard. He is now working at King Abdullah bin Aziz University Hospital, Riyadh. And there he is chairman of two committees, the Research Committee and Human Ethics Committee. He's also now serving as the Secretary General of the International Institute of Islamic Thought. He's the Secretary General. Professor Kasule, in brief, has a best overview of the Muslim Ummah globally, because he has traveled in almost all countries of this global earth. In Africa, almost all countries he has visited. In all continents, Latin America, Asia, Europe, and America. So he has a very, very broad view of the situation and the condition of the Ummah. And today, he will be talking to us about some of the problems and challenges of concept and thought. So I invite you all to listen very carefully to his presentation. He has this authority to talk about the issues he will be talking about. Professor Kasule, tafadhal.
Bismillah, wa bihi nasta'in, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah, adda al-amana, wa ballagha al-risala, wa nasha al-umma, wa jahada fi sabilillahi haqqa jihadihi, jazahullahu anna khayra al-jazaa. Sisters and brothers, salamullahi alaykum wa rahmatuhu wa barakatuh. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning, this afternoon. I just came in this morning from Riyadh. It's a pleasure to be here in this gathering as brothers and sisters in the name of Islam, discussing not today's problems, but talking about the future problems. Because when you talk about thought, that's about the future of our Ummah. And this is very pertinent because as all of you who follow the media, you know the Ummah right now is going through a very difficult situation. Very difficult, very complicated. But inshallah, we hope that a lot of good will come out of this. There's a lot of going to talk to you about challenges to our thinking. And what I want to tell you is we need to start thinking deeply about things. Stop and think and ask questions and not be satisfied with existing answers. In Islam, we have got encouragement to think. Quran talks about tafakkur, tadabbur. Tadabbur. You see and think. And to help you to do this, that's why we've got the phenomenon of al-i'tikaf. I'tikaf means you go to a masjid, you are out of contact with the rest of the world. What do? You think about your life, your actions, your mission, what is going on. Deep thinking away from the disturbing environmental stimulation that will distract you, your mind. So, at-tafakkur, at-tadabbur are very basic in our ummah. But I have a feeling we are not doing them enough. We need to think more. We need actually sometimes even to have a retreat. You go away from your home, your village, your town. Go somewhere, just sit and think about the ummah and the future of the ummah. Now I will be talking about 3 issues that I need to challenge you to think about. I'll talk about money. Those of you who are in economics and business and account of importance of life. Now money is a challenge. As you know, the world today is divided into 3 groups. First world, second world, and third world. Basically it's about economics. The rich at the top and the poor at the bottom. Now, so economics and money are very important. Now we need to think about these things deeply, because the economic system that exists today in the world is not in our favor. I don't even think we understand it. We need to think about an alternative system that derives from the Quran and Sunnah. It's very easy to talk about Islamic economics, but to actualize it requires a lot of thinking, a lot of research, and I don't think we have done enough research in this area. But I will focus only about the money. Now, the economic principles of Islam are very clear, very easy to implement. If you have a tabula rasa, if you take someone, a village, with only 50 people, the village does not interact with anybody else, it's easy to implement the Islamic economic system. The problem is, with an international economic system, you cannot implement your understanding of economics. And because you have these other interactions, eventually, whenever you try to implement, you end up compromising and maybe following the existing one. And I think Muslims as individuals also have got problems. They want to follow the Islamic system, but they don't have an alternative. And a lot of times, alternatives are given, but when you look into those alternatives, still they are part of the international system. You're not running away. Now, we have many questions about economics and money. But where are the Muslim economists to undertake research and solve problems? Now, the solution has to be conceptual, theoretical, before it becomes practical. But these thinkers must be people who think out of the box. If you start with the modern textbook of economics and you want to think within it, you will never get to original practical solutions, because your thinking is already limited. Even the terminology limits you. We need to be original. Start from zero. Now, when we talk about economics, the biggest issue is money. What is money? And I think that's what we'll focus on. Money in the Quran is mentioned in 2 ways. It is mentioned as currency. Like in Surah Al-Kahf, the people of the cave, he told them, take your currency to the market and buy food. Also, in Surah Yusuf, Yusuf was sold darahima ma'duda. He was sold for a few dirhams. So here Quran is talking about money as currency. But most of the time the Quran talks about money in the form of wealth. The word mal, gold and silver, it means wealth. But our biggest problem is that we confuse currency with wealth. You may carry a bag of currency notes, but you're not very wealthy. You see, because this currency, the value can be manipulated. Can be a very big bag, next morning can be dissolved with nothing. So we need to understand the difference between money as a currency and what is actually wealth. And that's Quran tells us, Al-mal wal-banun zinat al-hayat al-dunya. In the end, the wealth that we talk about is just a decoration of the earth. Wal-baqiyat al-salihat, what remains in the good things, they are the best ones. So we need also to understand our relationship with wealth as Muslims. Now these issues need to be researched and written about. Now, the understanding of what is money is what distinguishes Islamic economics from the modern secular economics. In Islamic economics, money is a medium of exchange, it's not a commodity. Money is there to enable us to exchange. You can make a table, I can catch fish. In order for you to take my fish, you buy the fish from me with a shilling, and I buy the table from you with a shilling. Before this came about, people were used to barter. I just give you the fish, you give me the table. But it's very complicated, because I may give you the fish today, and you already have got meat. You don't want to eat the fish today, it will rot. So you need money to save the value. You sell your fish and keep it as money, so that next week you can buy what you want. Now, the problem is that the Islamic understanding of money as a medium of exchange has been corrupted in the modern secular economics, because money has become a commodity. Money is not supposed to be a commodity, it's a medium of exchange. Now, when it becomes a commodity, that's how riba comes into the situation, because I've got money, I can sell it, and can get profit out of selling the money. So, and those who have money to sell or to lend become rich, and that's why the first world is getting richer and richer than the third world, because they keep on lending us money we will never pay back. The interest level is so high you can never pay back. But what they do, they lend you more money to pay off the old one, and then you continue in this debt trap, and you cannot get out. There are also some problems with money that I will be mentioning as we go on. Now, as I explained, money was discovered when people realized that barter trade is not efficient. You need a medium to be able to exchange goods and to store the value of what you have, so that you can later on use it later on. Now, it is forbidden in the Sharia to exchange money for money. And this happens. If I give you a shilling coin and you give me a shilling coin back, one of us is cheating the other, because it must be the same, but it happens. Now, interest is forbidden in the sense that when I lend you money and you give me interest, I am getting money without selling goods, without giving a service. I'm getting it out of the blue. So this is a form of cheating. That is why Islam forbids it, and we have seen that those who have money to lend become richer and richer. Now, but then that's the problem. What about the future value of money? If you put your money in the bank today, 10,000 Tanzanian shillings, and leave it for 5 years and take it out, by that time the value, the purchasing power of the money has fallen. So what you take out is going to be about 7,000 shillings. How do we solve the problem of the future value of money? Can we have an economic model that can keep the value of the money constant? Can we get rid of inflation? Because see what happens, I can borrow from you 100 Tanzanian shillings, and so I will pay you after 10 years. After 10 years, I give you 100 Tanzanian shillings. But that 100 is actually equal to about 10 shillings by this time because of inflation. So how do we solve this problem of the future value of money? And the part of the solution through the mechanism of interest. Part of it is to solve this. But this, as we know, interest, we have got a problem with it. Now, I am raising issues that require fresh and deep thinking and research. You go back to the Quran, to the Sunnah, look at the realities, and think, but think out of the box. When you think within the box of what you are being taught in the economic textbook, you will not solve these issues from an Islamic point of view. Now, there is another problem. I may have money and I want to invest. So I give it to the carpenter that, please, I invest this money with you, produce chair, and when you get a profit, I also get part of the profit. Now, this is the problem. When he loses, he still has to pay me. Islam says no. If he loses, you also lose. We must be equal in terms of investment. So the issue of investment also requires a lot of thinking. Methods of investment that can follow the Sharia at the same time we do not lose, because Sharia does not allow an investment that allows a fixed return. But then people ask the question, Prof. Omar, you have said this, I've got this money, what do I do with it? Can you keep it in your house under the mattress? Maybe store it. It will lose value. You take it to the bank, but then the bank will pay you interest on this money. What do you do with that interest? You take it and give it away as zakat, maybe not zakat, as sadaqah, or you refuse to take it. Then the bank will take it. And that's what is happening with our brothers from the Middle East. They put so much money in America, and they say, we don't want interest. So the banks take the interest and give it to that country, in the Middle East, to buy weapons and kill Muslims. Now, so I am raising issues. I'm a doctor, I don't have answers. But what I say is we need to start thinking again, because these are big issues that we cannot solve. As individuals, we are in this quandary. You don't know what to do dealing with the modern system. And Quran is there and Sunnah is there. What do you do? How do you do? We need new ways of approaching it. Then we have got this other problem. The government of Tanzania, when they want to make a big construction project, they issue bonds, construction bonds. Citizens lending money to the government. The government builds the road. And then after that, the government collects taxes. And it pays back to the citizen plus interest. Now, how is this? How can we deal with it? Do we refuse it? Do we do it? Do we modify it? So I'm just raising issues for which I have no answer. Point is, the fact that I have no answer, and maybe many of you have no answer, means we need to start thinking different. Again, new thought. And I would encourage our students doing postgraduate studies to be given research topics on matters like this. But tell them, I don't want you to quote for me what's already written, because I know what's already written. It's in the modern system. We in a new way to solve this. So make i'tikaf, sit somewhere and think deeply. Think deeply, write what they think, so that we can get out of the problems that we as individuals, as families, we are suffering from riba economy and trying to survive and maybe breaking rules here and there. Okay. The next thing I want you to think about is the subject of psychology. Psychology actually, I think, is the most dangerous subject that we have in the university. Because modern psychology is based on a premise that the human is an animal. In fact, you will be surprised in psychology textbooks, a lot of concepts are developed by experimenting on rats and monkeys. Because in the Western world view, a human being is a type of animal. But Quran says, وَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. So, the human is a duality. There is nafs and jasad. Okay? The nafs is the essence of the human. The jasad is temporary. In fact, the jasad is very temporary. You know this. Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam, all our nafs, all our spirit or our soul were on his back. Then they came slowly to be in us. How do we get the nafs or the ruh, ruh, in the 8th or 12th week of pregnancy? Before that, you're just a body. You're just a piece of meat in your mother's uterus. Then there is ruh. You become a complete human. So while in the uterus, you're a complete human. You are born as a complete human. You live as a complete human. When you die, the ruh leaves you. And you go back to being just a piece of meat. So jasad is temporary, but the ruh is, or the nafs is permanent. Okay, now the nafs in the Quran is described by many terms. There is qalb, there is ruh, there is fu'ad, there is lub. Me, I think all of these terminology are different manifestations of the essence of the nafs or the essence of the ruh. And scholars have discussed this in a big way. Okay, so the subject matter of psychology is the human mind and human behavior. So it's not just a study of the nafs, ilm nafs, this is correct. Psychology should study the interaction of the nafs and the jasad resulting in human behavior. And now, there is something we know. We know that the nafs affects the jasad. Your nafs tells your body what to do, maybe good or bad. But does the jasad affect the nafs? We don't know. It's an area of research that we want to do. But it seems in many verses that I have read in the Quran that sometimes Quran uses jasad and nafs almost interchangeably. By the way, you will get this PowerPoint, all of you. I don't want. When you read these verses, you notice that some of them have to be with the nafs being used as jasad. And you postgraduate students, you need to think deeply about this nafs and jasad interaction. The nafs can be good or bad. The essence of the human can be good or bad. It can be ammarat and bisu' wa ma ubarri'u nafsi inna an-nafsa la'ammarat bisu'. Sometimes your nafs tells you to do bad things. وَمَنْ مِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْتَرِي نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ. This is a higher level of nafs, that you sell your nafs in order to get Allah's pleasure. And Quran talks about the nafs. يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية. The nafs can reach a stage when it is pleased and when Allah is pleased. So the nafs has got maratib, has got levels. Now, as we talk about psychology, we need our students to start writing theses on these things, try to clarify them. And psychology is a very complex subject because you have this human duality. It's difficult to deal with these two components. The Western has made it very easy in that psychology to them is secular. It's just a body. They don't think about the spirit. So a danger of psychology is that it affects human behavior. A lot of the advertisements that make us buy things we do not need actually are made by psychologists. They study our psychology so that they make us buy things. They make us behave in certain ways. The media have got a lot of psychological consultants. Factories have got psychological consultants because psychology can be used negatively to control human beings. Now, what I want to end with is what the Sufi experience. We've got in our traditions the Sufi tariqa. In East Africa, we don't know them very well. West Africa, they are more known. Central Asia, they are better known. In India and Pakistan, yes, they are known a little bit. The Sufi tariqa, I don't want to give an opinion about them. People have got different views. But there is one thing about them, that they have got discipline. The tariqas have got discipline. The Sufi master gives instructions and people follow. Our Sudanese brothers can tell about this, that there is discipline in Sufism, which means they have been able to train people to be disciplined and follow instructions. That's psychology. Now, how do they do it? How do they achieve it? I think we need to do research in this area, because we may discover that from the Sufi writings, Sufi experiences, we may discover insight into modern psychology. Somehow, they have been able to understand the human spirit and how to control it and how to direct it. Now, I think I've taken a long time. I may leave out this one about the value of life. Inshallah, you can read it when you get the PowerPoint. Okay. We still have time? Oh, we still have time. Okay. So the third area that I want you to think about has to do with values, al-qiyam, al-akhlaqiyat. I am chairman of the ethics committees in many ethics, Saudi Arabia, many ethics committees. I started many of them. Okay, so I've been working in this area for many years. Ethics and ethical values. Ethics is a big problem, because with the lack of ethics, everything breaks down. Of course, you all know here in East Africa, we have problems. We have problems of corruption. These are lack of ethical values. Now, you need to understand that in the Western perspective, ethics is different from law. You see, ethics and law are different in the Western perspective. And the best example, you go to France. A woman who wears hijab is a very ethical woman. The French will agree that this woman is very ethical. She cannot do something wrong. Very religious, very disciplined. He agrees. That is ethical. But then he will put her in jail for wearing hijab, because it's against the law. So, in the Western perspective, ethics and law do not always agree. In the Islamic perspective, ethics and law are always together. What is haram is not ethical. What is halal is ethical. That is why you may be surprised we don't have a word for ethics in Arabic. We use this word akhlaqiyya, but it's a word that people cooked up. It's not in our history, because you don't need ethics once you have the Sharia. The Sharia has got positive law and ethical law. It's all together. Now, so the secular values, as I explained, are concerned only with the just the material part and not the spiritual part. And many people talk about secularism. I just want to make this very clear. Secularism is a religion. Secularism is defined as not connected to religion or spiritual matters in the dictionary. But the historical reality is that Europe was controlled by the Catholic Church. And the Europeans didn't like the church anymore. They rebelled against the church in the Renaissance, Reformation, about 600 years ago. So what did the Europeans do? They went back to their Greek and Roman religions and culture. Greco-Roman, and pagan religions. They went back. So what you call Renaissance, the rebirth of Europe, was the rejection of the church and going back to their pagan roots. So in a way, they were rebelling against organized formal religion in the church to go back to the informal religion. We have many informal religions in Africa also. We have both the voodoo, the spiritual, many religions, that traditional religions. The difference between them and organized religions is that these informal religions do not force you to do anything, because you make your own God. You make a picture and worship it. You can make it in a different way. So your God is under your control. So you are free to do what you want. People always want to follow informal religions because they do not restrict them. That's what Europeans wanted. They wanted to live free, but the church was restricting them. So they went back to their pagan religion so they can be free. So what has happened is that organized religion has disappeared in Europe. Alhamdulillah, the church is now being bought to become mosques. But they have gone back to their old religion. Don't say they are secular. No, they are following their old religion. And actually, the old religions, the former religions, have come back in reality. The ideas of democracy, the ideas of gay, lesbianism, Olympic Games, all of these were great things. They have now come back. So secularism is actually a religion, but it's not an organized religion. It's a disorganized religion that gives the humans the freedom to do what they want. It's like the Arabs in Jahiliyyah. They used to make gods. Sometimes when they had a lot of debt, they could collect them and make a picture from debt and worship that god. When they got hungry, they ate the god. So one time, Sayyidina Umar, they were asking, Ya Umar, where is the aql? How can you eat your god? Umar said, we had no aql, we had no brains at that time. So these informal religions have got this characteristic that they do not force you to behave in a certain way. But formal religions like Islam force you to behave in a certain way. So please, get out of this idea that secularism means no religion. If someone says, I'm secular, tell him, yes, you have that religion, but it's an informal religion. Also, there are some organized religions that are actually secular, like Juche in North Korea, Scientism, Moism. Some aspects of Hinduism are also secular. So the point is, never again write the word secular to mean no religion. It's a religion, but it's an informal religion. And at the moment is that European pagan informal religion that has come back. Okay. Now when we talk about ethics, about life, the European ethical theories, how do they tell right from wrong? They have got many theories. One of them is the utilitarian of Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill. These were British thinkers. And that's what really is the dominant one today. Something is good if it brings benefit. It is bad if it doesn't bring benefit. That's where corruption starts from. You just compare the good and bad for you, and then decide what is good and what is bad. There's another theory of Immanuel Kant. More strict, he says no. You can think and decide what is more and what's moral using intellect. Anyway, he doesn't have many followers. They follow the first ones more. We also now have ethics based on the rights. See? Rights-based theory. Everybody has got their rights. So, you want to be a gay? It's your right? Be. That's moral. Okay, we have those that are based on community. See? What the community thinks is right is moral. Like 100 years ago, if you walked in London and said, I am a gay, people will beat you up, and the police will arrest you, and they'll put you in prison. Today, If you walk in London and point at someone that say that one is a gay, you go to prison for violating their rights. What has happened? What has happened is that the community being morals, being democratic, the community has changed. So morals are not fixed. It's been changing. Also, there are some relation and case-based theories. Okay, we don't want to go through those. But the Islamic values, al-qiyam al-akhlaqiyya of Islam, come from our Quran and Sunnah. And our akhlaq reflects the basic fitra of the human being, what the human being was created with. And because the Quran gave the human responsibility, started by calling him Khalifatullah fil ard, al-istikhlal. Then there is taskhir al-kainat. The human being is the only creation of Allah able to change his environment. You see, the tiger doesn't change the forest. It just hunts animals and eats them. We can get animals and rear them and breed them. We have taskhir, we have got ability to affect our environment. And then the last one is ti'amar, that's building a civilization. So these three concepts are related to our basic fitra, but sometimes we do not fulfill them very well. Now, Quran and Sunnah are the sources of our akhlaq, and there is harmony between al-aql and naql. Some values you can reason them out. Some values you need to get them from Quran and Sunnah. But the two are harmonized. The Prophet's life is a manifestation of Islamic values. You want to follow Islamic values? Just follow the Prophet. And the Sharia, and this is what I want to say, our Sharia has got positive law, like what they call secular law, and also morality and ethics. The Sharia is comprehensive. It has got them together. Now, to make life easy, it's what was called maqasid sharia. There are 5 maqasid, and we can talk about another situation, corruption, and it's going to spill blood. So somehow they knew about the human being. Whether Allah taught them, we don't know, but they knew. And that is true, because human beings have been killing one another since the beginning. The 2 children of Adam were the first ones to commit this, and has been continuing all the time. Now, I want to end by just pointing out a few situations in modern life that show us we do not understand the value of life. You know Niger in French? It's the poorest country in the world. Either Niger or Chad, one of them is the poorest country in the world. And then you have the US, the richest country in the world. But what is funny, and these are numbers from CDC, the Center for Disease Control, American statistics. Niger has got less wastage of children than the United States. More children are killed in the US than in Niger, the poorest country. In Niger, they die because no medicine, no food. In America, they die because of induced abortion. So in a way, if you want to look at wastage of fetuses with 198 abortions per 1,000 live births aborted, okay? Now, Niger has 43,000 deaths per 100 live births. So, when you add the induced abortions and the infant mortality that goes on, you notice that Niger maybe is doing better than the US. But because the values are different, they don't look at the children killed in abortion as killing. No, not because the values are different. That's okay. Only when you kill a child after being born. So this is it's a catastrophe that the poorest country really is doing better. The children die from hunger and lack of medicine, but not from abortion. The richest, they die from abortion. And the numbers are there to prove it. Now, in India, you have this selective female abortion. Because when a woman is pregnant, they do amniocentesis, take out some fluid, check the gender of the baby. The baby is a girl, they abort it. Okay? As Quran tells us, وَلَا تَقْتُلْ أَوْلَادَكُمْ خَشْيَةَ إِمْلَاقٍ. Do not kill your children for fear of poverty. So it so happens that this Quranic teaching is violated daily. The number of baby girls being killed is very high. It's so high that there are some districts in which there are no women to marry because no girls are allowed to be born. So when they want to get married, someplace north of New Delhi, they have to go to the south of India to look for brides. So this is disrespect for the value of life. Forced sterilization. Okay? People being forced to sterilize. Same with Bangladesh. But in Bangladesh, they give people money, men and women, to be sterilized so they cannot produce children. In China, the Muslim part of China, in Xinjiang, sterilization is by force. They cut like a cow, cut you, sterilize you, and then let you go on. So, there are other areas in which life is not respected, but we don't have time to go through them. I've been talking for too long. In our hospitals, it goes what we call euthanasia. Euthanasia means somebody suffering from cancer, a lot of pain actually. Cancer pain is severe. So the doctor, out of mercy, for merciful killing, you inject something to kill him so he doesn't continue suffering. That's called euthanasia. This is forbidden in Islam because life and death are in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot take someone's life because you are being merciful to him. Also, we have what you call physician-assisted suicide. Many countries consider it legal. Patient is suffering. He tells the doctor, please, inject something. I want to die. The doctor injects. Sometimes the doctor has got conscience. So he says, look, this is the needle. I put it in your hand, or we put it in the IV, but you are the one who will push, not me. So the patient pushes. So the doctor says, no, me, I just helped him. But he killed himself. I did not kill him. So finally, there are many clinical trials. And this is one of my biggest problems because I approve clinical trials. When we have a new medicine manufactured, we need to try it out on people. So we give it to some people and not others, and we see a difference. Many of these clinical trials are carried out in Africa because in Europe people will not agree to be experimented on. If people in Africa understood and agreed, it's okay because we need to get new medical knowledge. Problem is, many of them are unethical. They don't tell them what they're doing. In fact, they tell them we are giving you medicine to get better, when actually they are trying a new medicine. So there are many violations of the principle of life that are occurring. So what I want to say in summary is, as universities, as postgraduate students, we need to think. But this must be original thinking. Take problems that you see and think about them. Think deeply. Think outside the box, because if you think within the textbook that you are reading, you will not think outside those parameters. And you are able to think outside the box because you read Quran and Sunnah. Quran and Sunnah have got many concepts that can make you think in an original way to solve problems. Thank you very much. I've taken too long. Excuse me. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
so much, Professor Kasule, Brother Chanzi. Please, inshallah, please, Professor Asad and Professor Njosi, could you please come forward? And Professor Kasule, please. Okay, thank you so much. Could I have a seat? Brother Chanzi, please, come and take your position. Now is the time for questions and answers.
Okay, question and answers on the last topic that has been presented by Professor Kasule. I would like to get some questions from the audience before Professor, you will just answer questions right where you are, so you don't have to come all the way up here. So I'll give you like 5 questions before we proceed with another 2 sessions. So if you have any questions, you can raise your hand. So let me start from the first here.
My name is Shamsuddin Bolatito from Islamic University, Uganda. Professor is my father, is my mentor, he's not listening to me. So, Professor, we have issues, and up to now, I've not seen any critical muqasid sharia or usul that can solve these evolving trends when it comes to issue of cryptocurrency. It's a bit contentious issue in the sense that some scholars are supporting while some are saying it is haram in Islam. So with your wide knowledge of global interference with Islamic issues, what do you suggest to the young brain scholars? And how should we relate interact with the issue of cryptocurrency? Thank you.
Honestly, I don't know about cryptocurrency. It's something new, and I think many scholars haven't studied them very well because they also do not yet understand what they are doing. But within the field of ethical framework, cryptocurrency and many other financial scholars are ways of giving money a role different from what it's supposed to have, which is just a medium of exchange. And I think this is something that we need the students to write master's and PhD theses on. Students should sit and read all what's available, try to think and look at the maqasid sharia and see how it fits with this. But in general, this is one of approaches that have to do with the concept of money. Remember, all corruption started when the concept of money changed from being a medium of exchange to being a commodity. So this is a challenge. We need to think. Nobody has the answers. Who will think? The postgraduate students mostly. Let me tell you the secret. When we grow, we reach our highest intellectual power at between 25 and 35. Then we start declining. So we, the older people, don't think we are going to do the thinking. It's the younger people who still have intellectual power to think deeply and do research and write research. We need to look for answers. There are no ready answers.
open by the presentation. Of course, the dimensions of the concept, social concept you discussed, are a bit problematic when it's taken to postgraduate, researches in our universities, especially if a student wanted to do a research on these issues, especially when he wants to do, as you say, to think out of the box. How do we, as young, academic, push this idea forward so that the bigger, senior colleague may accept it or understand it? Thank you.
Jazakallah khair. Well, I think if we are to survive in the future, we need to start research. And we need to convince the senior colleagues that this is necessary. So when a student is going to start their research, they do what is called literature review. They review all what has been written on the subject and find the gap that they are going to fill. This is where the problem starts with, because the student is going to fill a gap of the existing ecosystem. When you come to this one, you tell them that no, you are going to think of an alternative to what exists. The gap is what is the alternative to what is going on. Because only then can we start thinking correctly and come up with innovative ideas. We need to encourage our students, and those of you who are supervising them, please don't suppress the ideas. Don't tell them that this idea, I never came across it. Where did you come? That's what we want. When he comes up with something you never heard about, then you need to encourage them to explore it even further, because maybe they're on their way to finding a solution.
Thanks, bro.
Thank you, Professor. That's the Department of Mass Communication, University of Morogoro.
Professor, I learned a lot from you. I learned something from you. But if I'm wrong, I stand to be corrected by your person, please. When you said, you quoted a verse in the Quran, أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَن يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيُسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءَ وَنَحْنُ نُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِكَ وَنُقَدِّسُ لَكَ. And you said the Malaika did not know about the future, and yet they guessed that it turned out to be right, that they were right. What I learned from there is that actually they taught us something. It's not a coincidence that they knew about that, because they learned from the history of a jinn, that is Iblis. The community about the prehistoric era that was unknown to us. But this has given us a lesson, in this case, to learn that we could actually know about our future. This is what we are taught, according to that verse, that we are able to distinguish, to know the future, if we mediate between the past and the present. And by then, it was their present that actually dictated the future, which is now. I beg to be corrected if I'm wrong.
Actually, the Mufassirin have got many understandings. I cannot judge whether you are right or wrong. We need to ask more knowledgeable people.
Influence the government? Like, how are they able to tackle these issues when they're in the minority?
So just, we need to take that as a very good thing that we are supposed to do. Last question.
Thank you so much, Professor. I'll go straight to the point, to the question. There are two. One is you have emphasized so many times about the issue of thinking and research, especially for postgraduates. And some of the institutions we have around have research policies and research frameworks. So there are many issues that you have raised that may not be in line, or you may present to an institution as an area for research, and it may not be in line with the research policy or framework of the institution. Sometimes they may not have the manpower or the supervisors to supervise in such an area. How do you advise the postgraduate students on how they can proceed to make such research, even if it is not part of their main postgraduate research? One. Two, it is about riba. There are some scholars, I may not remember right now because it just came up, who have interpreted riba as compounded interest only, and that there is a certain amount of interest which they have interpreted as they are not selling money, but they are selling a service. So I take 1 million from the bank, but I take back an interest of 10%, which is like 1.1. So the 10% that I'm paying is, I'm paying for the service of the bank of lending, but I'm not buying money. And they have interpreted it that way. I would wish to hear your comment about that, Prof. Thank you.
Okay, yes, the first question is, if you're a postgraduate student in a certain university where they will not let you research into the things that you're talking about, please research very quickly on what they want. And then you the issue of press, I am not really expert. I'm just pointing out that Muslims have not all of this. But what I know is that you are not allowed to eat things. Don't put it. Don't put it in this stuff. That one is very clear. But we need a lot of research, understand many things about this phenomena, because people are in a quandary. They are living in this economy. They cannot escape it. So what do? They have to buy houses, they have to buy cars. What can they do? What are the guidelines? Unfortunately, our scholars have not done enough research, enough writing to develop guidelines. So we need to do the necessary work. And we cannot just do it here in a meeting and just talk. You cannot ask the imam as the member to give you an answer with fatwa. No. These are things that require deep thinking and deep research. And I think we need to develop economic models. But to develop them, we have to go to somewhere in the bush, a very simple community that's not affected by the modern life. And then we try out many things. We can try out investment. We can try out lending money, getting money. We can even experiment. But we need to develop new models that are not built within the existing system, because if you're in the existing system, you will follow the existing system. You may be like yourself that you are making a new model, but in the long run, you are actually part of the system.
Thank you very much, Professor. Now I would like to talk about the next session of presentation. and the topic for this one is the role of the university in our time. It's just a conceptual overview, and the presenter is Anna Wairumu Mawita. She's from University. She's a PhD candidate. She specializes in strategic management. So please welcome Anna on the podium so she can continue with her presentation. We're still doing the same. You have 20 minutes. You just come up. You have 20 minutes. That's you'll be presenting for 15 minutes and 5 minutes for questions and any contribution. People.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. My name is Anne Wairimu Maguta. I'm from University. I have co-authored a paper with Dr. Jackson Wanjao from the same university. Our topic of the paper is the role of universities in our time, and it is a conceptual overview paper. This is what made us think of writing that paper. Today we have graduates who finish their bachelor's, their master's, their doctorate, and they end up saying, I'm unemployed, or you find a student, a graduate, holding a paper, but they have no skills to survive. If you look at that young man in the second photo, and I hope you can see it, you note that the student or the graduate stands outside a lift and is unable to communicate, and yet is a graduate. So this is what pushed us to do this paper. I think you'll have to adjust, it's a bit funny. So this conceptual research paper is okay, fine. So this is a conceptual research paper that explores the origin, the role, development, challenges, and also proposes solutions to deal with the ever-changing environment of our students, of our universities, etc. The purpose of this paper was to examine the evolving and varied roles of the university in our contemporary world. This paper conducted a comprehensive review of 20 peer-reviewed journals. So I'll start off with an introduction about the paper. So generally, what is a university? A university is a higher learning institution whose mandate is to impact intellectual knowledge to its students and promoting high-level impactful research. Another definition would be it means universal, it means all, and therefore every university has a mandate to offer academic degrees in various subjects from science to art-based areas. So the question would be, what are the challenges today of the modern universities? One, the education currently. Mostly the role of any institution is to provide higher learning, which is what every university should do. The second thing is it plays a role in achieving sustainable development goals. Today, the UN has given us 17 goals, or sustainable goals, and we need to know how to incorporate them in teaching to ensure that we are able to meet what has been set for the UN. For example, eradication of poverty, dealing with hunger, understanding our climate change and managing it, etc. Other challenges is how we conduct our research. According to Njuguna and Itegi, 2013, institutions of higher learning and should encourage capacity building and enhance members in research. They also say that through appropriate training and providing necessary resources and support could go a long way in having or in contributing to innovative ways of in various economic sectors. Then community service. The university has a role to play in terms of providing support to the university. From how whatever universities do, the knowledge, the education that they contribute to the society, it is important that all universities or all lecturers and academia to know that we have a role to ensure that our social fabric is intact. That can be done by how we are doing the teaching and the ideas that we are getting. Then, of course, we have issues to do with the environment. Today's institutions and universities must ensure that they understand the sustainable goals that have been set, and this will ensure that we teach as we keep our graduates ready for the market, as well as understanding the universal goal. So what are the challenges we are having as modern universities? One, curriculum mismatch with the labor needs. We have a curriculum, it's very theoretical, but when you go out there, you'll find students having a challenge with even how do they speak, how do they present, how do they work with different people in an organization. The second challenge is outdated teaching methodology. The Gen Z, as they are known today, are not able to adapt to the current teaching methodology, which is very passive. And learning today, we need to incorporate IT skills, improve on communication skills, entrepreneurial, etc. The corporate world is very turbulent, and therefore our students today will have to be put in this position so that when we release them to the market, they are ready for the market. Our curricula tends to be very theoretical, like I have said. Very limited areas on field work, areas on corporate training or exposure. And the moment that is there, you'll find we have the graduates, but the graduates fail to fit in the market. Then another challenge our universities are facing is lack of coordination with the stakeholders. It has been mentioned that we are an ecosystem, even education or the different institutions we have, we've got to create an ecosystem that allows us to teach the latest information, to conduct research, to get funding for different activities in the universities. Some of the stakeholders are the government, the society itself, as well as private institutions. So how could we help this? How do we change this? So this is what we found out. One, we need a new curriculum. A curriculum that allows us to map future learning in a manner that it fills in the gap, the different gaps that we have, either in the employment world or in entrepreneurial world, those students or those graduates that graduate and end up being investors, business people, etc. I'm giving a summary. Then the next is the pedagogical practices. Our time when we were learning, the lecturer was very important. He would come and teach all through, or she, and we really valued it. We are not saying we are not valued anymore, but Gen Z today, they want more. They are very well equipped with technology. They are equipped with ways of accessing information to try and keep that student in class, to try and make a student a lifetime learner. As at point 10, as the last point here, you'll note that as academicians, we need to change how we teach. We need to pick new teaching methodologies such as gamification, where it spurs critical thinking and analytical thinking. Then the next is qualified faculty capable of delivering updated curricula. No matter what we do without a very well equipped lecturer or faculty, then teaching will not go as it should be. The lecturer himself or herself must be a lifelong learner. Because of the changing world, it means that you have to identify new ways of collecting data, new ways of teaching. How do you keep your students in class? Then areas that cannot be overlooked is, of course, the use of technology. Again, Gen Z are very IT oriented, and they want, if things were taught using technology or learning platforms have a lot of technology, then it allows the student to learn better. The third, and has been mentioned by our guest speaker, is about operationalizing what we are doing. Theoretical research will not change what our society, but if we operationalize our research, then we are able to meet the challenges of the university as well as what we are exposed to in the society. It is essential for universities to collaborate with the government and industries. These collaborations will create a good ecosystem where, one, there will be policies set and everybody is involved, from scholars to the government to the private sector. It's important to note that the government has financial muscle and capability, both locally and international, and therefore collaborations of universities must be done with the government and other stakeholders. Our findings. Universities and other institutions of higher learning focus in research work as one of their second most important mandate and mission from teaching. The second is universities have a responsibility of community service and support by engaging the neighboring society based on the philosophy of sufficiency economy. In provision of knowledge, the university needs to give new knowledge and practical skills required to help the society meet the recurring challenges of development. The UN and UNEP, it is encouraging universities to reorient education programs. That means they should move from very theoretical kind of teaching and put in sustainability, put in abilities to operationalize or localize knowledge. The mismatches of the curriculum to the labor market can be solved by us changing the curriculum, educating the faculty, etc. That was something that we noted. And finally, since the work environment keeps changing, and researchers recommend further pedagogical research to explore the evolving theories and practices of teaching and learning that aid in curriculum review. So our conclusion was, universities can no longer work with the traditional approaches, as this will affect or challenge their existence. Secondly, graduates should possess attributes that correctly place them in the appropriate job market globally, as well as possess skills that are entrepreneurial in nature. Today's best performer, whether as an entrepreneur or an employee, needs to possess strong skills that assist in, strong skills that assist in that assist the graduate in navigating the turbulent environment. It's therefore the responsibility of universities to understand their role in conducting research on the best curriculum to adopt teaching methodologies that fit today's learners. And finally, to safely manage the universities, the universities need to check on the high school graduate expectations and the future market's expectation to fill the gap adequately. This will lead to high performance and productivity of the graduates. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna, for your presentation. Before we move to question contribution, I would like to invite another presenter. So once he finishes up, then after the Salah, then we can come back and combine the question from her and from him as well and ask the question. So we want to save time because that's going to be the last presentation for today until tomorrow. So we want to join together and ask question and contribution. After that, we will have our evening tea. Then that's going to be at the end of our session for today. So please, the coming up topic. The topic is the role of the local Islamic universities to madrasa and mahad in Tanzania modern society. The presenter is Dr. Nawaji Ali Mganga. He is from Al Sumaiti University in Zanzibar. So please welcome him for presentation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulullah wa ba'd. As Mr. MC have already introduced my title, I'm Dr. Nawaje from Sumaiti University, and I'm going to present the topic saying the role of local Islamic university to madrasa and mahad in Tanzania modern society. Because of the time, let me jump directly here. Those from who brought Islam in East Africa were not official missionaries, nor did they focus on propagating Islam, because they came here to seek for only for life. But after their interaction, the people of West Africa converted into Islam, and there everything they know about Islam there. But the issue here is that in Tanzania we have several universities, but currently we have only 3 Islamic universities. I call them Islamic university because this is Muslim university, the Muslims universities, not Islamic university, but they identify themselves with Islam. That's why in this article we call them Islamic university or local Islamic university. The issue, this local Islamic university, their role are not seen directly to madrasa and mahad. So the graduates of the madrasa and mahad, they are not recognized nationally. So in this article, we are going to use Samia's 4R philosophy, which stand with the 4 bases. We'll see later on. And those 3 universities, Zanzibar University, Muslim University of Morogoro, and Abdurrahman al-Sumaiti University is our area for consideration. And sorry, our framework also recognized on the 4: reconciliation, resilience, reform, and rebuilding, where Dr. Samia, the president of Tanzania, since he came into position. So our finding shows that the university have responsibility to produce services to the society. The role of local Islamic university for madrasa and mahad in modern society of Tanzania has been determined in the following 7 areas. The first one, managing common curriculum for madrasa and mahad. So those universities have to come together and managing that role. And second one, administering joint examinations for madrasa and mahad. Third one, issuing of joint certificate for madrasa and mahad. Fourth one, approving common books and madrasa and mahad. Also reviewing and advising madrasa and mahad. Also providing training to madrasa and mahad to teacher. And last one, providing scholarship to extend graduate of madrasa and mahad. Since madrasa and mahad failed to stand on their own without someone to support them, and since local Islamic university have a duty to contribute to society, then the university must evaluate themselves and fulfill their obligation to madrasa and mahad as part of restoring benefit and virtue for Tanzania Muslim and Islamic in general. If university succeed in carrying out its responsibility, madrasa and mahad will be able to face the great challenge of not being recognized by the country authority. In addition, on the other hand, university will benefit by getting students to admit in their various degree program for the graduates from the graduates of Mahad and Madrasa. This is possible for everyone to fulfill their responsibility. The comforting thing is that the Constitution of Tanzania allows its citizens to preach and believe in any religion on the condition of not violating the rule and the laws of the country. With that logic, it is now the right time for the selected university to use the opportunity for the good future of Mahad and Madrasa graduates and Muslim of their nation in general. Let it be known that the unity and strength, unity is strength and the separation is weaknesses. Therefore, selected university can sit together with the leaders of Madrasa and Mahad for the implementation of this project, which great benefit in this world and hereafter. As Allah says, لا خير في كثير من نجواهم إلا من صدق إلا من أمر بصدقة أو معروف أو إصلاح بين الناس. It is possible for everyone to fulfill their obligation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nawaj. Now is the time for questions and answers. So we would like to invite you. Please, Dr. Nawaj, you could just wait for those questions. Yeah, both presentations, please. You can ask. Okay. What's your name, please?
Thank you very much. My name is Munir Mashaka from Muslim University of Morogoro. My question goes direct to Ms. Anna Mkutano. The topic role of universities in our time. Although the title is very broad, it's not that much specific, but it's just a conception of the paper. So I comment next time just a topic specific, because we say role of universities is very broad. Okay, aspect, has so many aspects of life also. So here I see the innovative technological changes that we see nowadays. We have so many platforms, so many innovations, mostly basically in technology, like artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and so on. So do you think these technological innovations, like the use of artificial intelligence, GPT, in your mind, this will prepare the candidate from universities to tackle different circumstances in the society? So do you think these technological changes could prepare the candidate to be creative, to be innovative in terms of the challenges that are encountered in their society? And also, I just want to add another question there. Do you think there is a gap between the previous time and our time? And do you think that gap is basically based on the technological aspect? Thank you very much. By the way, thanks for your presentation. It's a very interesting one, but it has a lot of questions to be asked and to be answered. Thank you.
Answers, please. It's a time to ask that question, and then we go to another question.
was broad. We'll pay attention to that. Thank you very much. The question on the use of AI and GPT, if it creates or will spur innovation, etc. Yes, if well done, and no, if not. Is it a problem? By choice. If you if you bring it out right, using the right policies, following rules, AI is very important, and therefore we would need to incorporate it in education. Failure to do so, we are actually going to be turning ourselves obsolete. Okay. Then the gap, yes, there is a gap. The gap has come from, one, our social issues. Today's generation, which is Gen Z, and the upcoming generation that will soon join the university, Generation Alpha, have a different way of looking at all aspects. And that's why you find, I want to put it in a social way, parents tend to say, I don't know what is wrong with my son. Lecturers say, I've gone to class and there was this. Yes, that's a sign there is a gap. So what do we do about it? That's the reason I brought it out. Thank you. Have I answered your question?
I just want you to connect your presentation, and I think was that a theoretical framework of 4R for Samia. I think because of time you've not connected your presentation and your 4R. I think this is good time to connect those three 4R and your topic. Thank you.
Dr. Namaje, you have specialized Swahili. Maybe we can give you a special chance for you to speak in Kiswahili. We'll just summarize it there.
Thank you very much. My framework has got 4 bases. The first one is resilient. The thing is not good. The situation of madrasa and mahad are not good in academic. So according to this theory, or the basis of this theory, the university, the selected university, can join together and forget their differences, come together, unite, and rebuild what is needed, and initiate new ideas, 4 R's. Those 4 R's can enabling to do that thing. Reconciliation, to make madrasa and mahad together. Also reliance, to be tolerant to each other. Reform, to do what is needed, where is not good, to remove and to make the condition good, and rebuilding to introduce new system of delivering, teaching, awarding, and everything. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Namaje. Okay.
Thank you very much. My focus is to Anna. You have mentioned a lot in your discussion, specifically on you first introduced a picture there that shows the 2 interrelationship between graduate students and the field of work. That is lack of skills, but you graduate from university. Of course, that is a question that relies to most of us. But to your presentation, there are some issues that are not here,
special issues of curriculum, issues of, you didn't even talk the issues of world diversity to plan, you didn't talk about the world and employment issues, even you didn't talk about the priorities of the government, you didn't talk about the priorities of individual. Therefore, in some parts, would you agree with me that in your conclusion, whatever you mention, that is one of the basic role of a university, it is to create an atmosphere of deep thinkers into all graduate students on the diversity of social and economic challenges that pertain us. On the contrary, and I know that you know the problems with us, it is with us, and the solution of the problems we have ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your answer, please.
Called it. I do agree with you. The issues perhaps would want to consider is issues on priority of the government as well as a plan. So by the others, if about the curriculum, we've said you'd have to change the curriculum to match the needs of the market, the needs of the society. Have I answered you?
Okay, thank you. Another question, please. I have a question for both.
Thank you very much. My name is Hamis Hamed from Muslim University of Morogoro. Thank you for having this great opportunity to contribute from Madam Anne Maguta. To connect the dot from what Professor Kasule said, myself I can say universities is an industry which produce intellectual and critical thinker. And also this job is the job of the teacher. So we see the experience and challenge that people are facing here, especially this youth or the graduated. They become or they just engaged to the problem of being the agent. Without being the agent of changes, they are now becoming the victim of the changes. And from there, I remember in 1966, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere gave out that speech in Mwembe Chai, Changombe, and said that the job of the teacher is the job of putting the youth in a path of revolution and changes. And he continues, says, this work of creating a new youth African is the job of teacher. We have to produce an Africans with confidence. We have to produce an youth Africans who will be able to say, I can do this and I can't do that. He continued urged that teacher, he's supposed to give the knowledge that could make the student not to be weak and make the youth to prepare their hand to be ready and be able to exploit African resources for Africans themselves. And if the teacher will fail to do that, he or she will be able, he or she will be the part and parcel of the exploiter and getting salary for doing nothing. By finishing, he continues to say that teacher, he is supposed or she is supposed to teach his or her student to be radical, stubborn, and tough people, and not hopeless youth. If teacher will not be able to teach that, he will continue to teach what taught by the colonialists. So, to avoid that, teacher should teach the student another way so that he will be never being teaching another bunch of the slaves. From there, I want to add that you have to go and see the role of the teacher in the position of the universities. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. My dear brothers and sisters, we have a very limited time. That's why when we give you a chance to ask a question, please go direct, only a few seconds. And this is going to be the end. Only one question, and then it marks the end of our today's session. Few announcements later. Just wait for the question.
First, I will advise all participants here, especially those coming from universities. If you Google, you may find a survey carried out by Inter-University Council for East Africa. The publication was done 2014. They are finding that almost 50% of the graduates from East Africa universities are half-cooked. That means not well prepared. And of course, the report provided statistics. For example, Uganda, the situation is the most worse. 63% of the graduates are not well prepared. Kenya, 21%. So I'm advising here all stakeholders from the universities to go through this publication. They will help them. Also, with regard to the madam, we know that improving curriculum, enhancing teaching methodology, practical training will produce good graduates. But the main challenge is the financial resources, not enough. What kind of strategies are you putting forward for the owners of the
universities in East Africa so that they can implement what you are suggesting. The last one goes to the Nawaje. If you ask any person in Tanzania who is experienced with the madrasa and the Mahadi education, what are the challenges facing the madrasa and the Mahadi education, he or she will tell you lack of financial resources. So what are you suggesting, what university should do to this madrasa and Mahadi with regards to resource mobilization to the owners of the madrasa and Mahadi? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pasi. You are the last one. Dr. Nawaja will give you the chance to respond to the question. And then only a few seconds.
There is no direct or one word or one sentence solution, but the solution have to be embodied with sitting and discussing on both sides, madrasa, mahad, and universities, stakeholders, in order to introduce the system of income. For example, on donor or even contribution from the parent, or even what I said here, providing the scholarship. Those teacher or stakeholder of the madrasa and mahad have to be financed by the university in order to attend the training and to invite those students who have who excel in their study to join university by this money, which is going to be discussed in those discussion between these three institutions: madrasa, university, and mahad. But there is no shortcut. We can't say the money will come from this source. But the issue here is to make the proper system of madrasa and mahad, because the teacher himself is teaching and himself is collecting the money. So the situation become worse. So the system should be well arranged and everything will become good. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We'll give now permission to go and have a rest. Yeah. Msaidiane, profesa ameshaniandikia kimemo kwamba tumemaliza. Na profesa akisema nimesema. Okay. Thank you so much. We give thanks to all of participants who have been with us since morning today. And we extend our sincere thanks to Professor Kasule, because we were waiting for you, and maybe because of tawfiq of Allah, and this is not maybe because of tawfiq of Allah, you have joined with us, alhamdulillah. So this marks the end of our today's presentations and session, but we have few announcements. Number one, we are going to have Salatul Asr. The Imam is going to be Sheikh Thenei. We're going to take a prayer there at the back of the conference room. But after Salah, we are going to have group photo with all our leaders, from IIIT and Muslim University of Morogoro. And then about tomorrow's schedule is going to start at 8 o'clock a.m. in the morning. And inshallah, the session chair for the first session, which is going to begin from 8 o'clock morning, is going to be Brother Hassan Mohammed. So get prepared for that.
We have evening tea after Salah.
And after all things, group photo after Salah and group photo. We are going to have evening tea all together. So we thank you so much. We give you another chance to go for preparation for Salatul Asr. Thank you so much. Those who have already prayed, they could just wait for us here, inshallah, taking some of greetings to others, inshallah.